Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, glad you're here today.
We're thrilled to have you. Today, we're going to be talking about how to create dynamic campaigns in AttractWell. We'll talk about what that means, what campaigns are, and how you can really leverage AttractWell to its maximum capacity with our campaign send settings, namely for email, text, or both for different circumstances that you may need for your business, how you engage and communicate. We also have an exciting new update that we're going to be sharing that Greg has put into the system this week. It's one that you want to keep an eye on because it's going to be growing over time. But before we get into all of that, let us know, where in the world are you? What are you working on this week? We're always so thrilled to hear from you and hear about the amazing work that you're doing. So don't be shy. If you are joining us for the first time, let us know. It's your first time here live. We're always excited to meet new folks. And of course, if you aren't familiar with AttractWell, this is a free call that we offer every single Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time, unless there's a major holiday here in the US. And on this call, we offer the opportunity for you, a difference maker, change maker in the world, whose job it is to work with people, organizations, what have you, to impart your bit of magic out there. If you're a coach, a consultant, a course creator, if you have an expert-based business or practice, AttractWell is a home for everything that you need to grow yourself online. So we are excited to have you with us, and of course, for you to grow with us here today and learn more about ways to communicate using AttractWell. So again, let us know that you're here in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. Keep that going. We're going to pop out a video here real quick and get into some slides, and we'll come back to join you here in just a bit after we have gone through today's content. So today, as promised, we are going to talk about how to create dynamic email and text campaigns with AttractWell. So we are first, before we get into that, going to hear from Greg with a cool new feature. When you are creating pages in AttractWell, you have an awesome new way to create even more cohesive designs and entire funnels. We are going to talk about what campaigns are. We're going to get into an overview of the way that they send to your contacts, and then best practices, setup, and use cases for each of those types of settings. And then, as always, live helping Q&A. And we do have several folks signed up for a live work review today. If you are here to have us take a look at your work, go ahead and send us a message in the Q&A or the chat so that we know that you're here. And of course, we'll make sure that we get to you after we go through today's content. So first things first, before I throw things over to Greg, I want to invite you, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you are watching this in our Facebook group, that you go over to attractwell.com/office hours and sign up to join us on a live call, just like this one. So we look forward to having you join us here. And if you would like to work together, as several folks will on today's call, you want to schedule, set aside some dedicated space to work on what you want to work on together, you can go to attractwell.com/work review and take advantage of this opportunity, totally free, to get hands-on work with your strategy, with your systems, with your design, and so on. It'll take place on a call just like this one. And if you'd like for somebody to just handle some of this for you, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge to learn more about our team and all of the awesome work that they can do to help you save time and be more effective in your business using AttractWell. Now, I'm going to, because I absolutely forgot to do this previously, Greg, going to make you a co-host so that you can take the share away from me and show us this awesome new thing that we have in the system that folks need to be keeping an eye out on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Let me do this. Okay. All right. Sharing my screen. So, gosh, I don't remember when that was. A week or two or three, whatever, in the last recent weeks, we added some page templates to the system. And today there are 8 more templates, along with a couple, something new here that I'd like to show you under the page builder with regard to importing funnels and such into your site. So, just like as before, when you go to add a page, there are a number of templates that come up. The new ones, they're a light gray theme. So there's a landing page, a lead magnet, thank you, post-purchase page, as well as a product services sales page. There's also, if you prefer different colors, there's a soft pink version of those same pages as well down here. Basically the same things, just a slightly different background color. And those are same as the other templates. that we've released previously. For example, like if you go in here, it's fully editable. You can click around and change everything that you like. So the other change, so in addition to those 8 templates, the other change is, you may have noticed this has been out actually a couple of days, but the funnel bundles tab. So previously we've had individual pages, always have had them. These 2 new templates are essentially available with a full funnel, including campaigns. Like the campaigns do, of course, well, all of it, of course, needs to be modified with your copywriting and such in there too, but it's basically the outline of it and the strategy that's included. So now under funnel bundles, and we'll be adding more to these over time. But for example, if I click on this one, it opens up the bundle link. It's got some instructions on it, and you can see what's all in there. It's got, opt-in, thank you, lead magnet delivery campaign. It's got a couple of pages as well as a couple more campaigns on the end of it. And so those are both available here. And when you import those, everything will be connected. You just have to go and edit the pages and edit the campaigns and put your content in there. And of course, remember, there's always the very lovely AI copywriter in here too. Actually, it was right here, the Write with AI button, which you can do there, or when you're editing a page or a campaign, there's a button. You can just click the little magic wand in here and ask what you want, and it'll, I need a headline for this, or I need a paragraph for this, and so you can do that. And we have another we have different trainings on AI, but that tool is there if you need some copywriting assistance, or you can just, of course, pop it in there. So yeah, again, under pages and then click add, you've got your choice now between all these individual pages as well as funnel bundles, which we'd like to add more to over time. And as always, if you have some website that you've stumbled across that maybe, doesn't have to be, AttractWell, whatever, like you like the look and feel of it and you're like, oh, this is awesome, send it over our way. Maybe we can throw it on a list to consider adding a similar page template in the future. So yeah, that's today's update from me.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Greg. I hope that you guys are excited to give that a go. You can obviously go into your page editor as though you are going to create a page, and you can find those new options. And remember, that is going to be growing over time, and definitely do reach out. Our team is always looking for new ways to serve you and expand the way that we help you get things done more beautifully, more quickly. Yeah, feel free to send those requests, those examples, send it in to support@attractwell.com, or even head over to our Facebook group and shoot us a message. So let me know in the chat, what kind of campaigns do you use? How are you using campaigns in AttractWell if you are currently using campaigns? Now, obviously, for anyone here who is familiar with digital marketing, you know that campaigns actually can have several different meanings, right? So campaign is an internal word in AttractWell, meaning it points to a specific feature that we have on our platform. And so we're going to get into first what that is, what that means. So campaigns, or drip sequences, that would be another way to, or an autoresponder, right? What we're doing here is we are sending out messages, right? Automatically, something's going out from you on your behalf to the person who has engaged in some way with your site or your system. So campaigns are a series of messages, email and or text, that are sent out to contacts at predetermined intervals or dates. So there could be an ASAP followed by an every 3 days for 6 months, right? Or it could be an ASAP followed by daily for 2 weeks, etc. You can choose. This can be sent, and this is a cool thing about AttractWell, is that you can send via both email and text, or do an and or. You can do a combination inside of a single campaign. Now, you're going to use campaigns for things like evergreen automations. So this would be things like delivering a lead magnet. So somebody opts in to get something for free from your website, and you want them to be able to get what they came for, whether you are asleep or on a plane or doing something else, right? Meeting with a client. We've got evergreen automations is one function. Another would be drip sequences. So those would be educating or engaging your leads or your clients. And then event automation is another cool way to use this. So if you have a date-based need to send reminders and follow-ups, etc., to folks relating to a live event, you have the ability to set your campaign based on specific calendar dates. So let's explore our campaign send settings, all of the different options that we have. And then of course, we'll get into use cases and how we set them up. So our options to send campaigns are as follows. We've got the default email and or text option, meaning it's both. Another option, and this is the default for the entire campaign, you can modify them for the individual messages as well, which we'll get into. There's email preferred, but it could send by text. There's text preferred, but it could send by email. Then there's email only strictly, and then text only, strictly text. Now let's get into these one at a time. For the both email and or text option for your campaign, if your contact is opted in, right, meaning they have signed up to receive information from you using both their email and their phone number, this campaign will deliver both ways, to email and to text for the same contact at the same time. Okay, that's the default setting. Now you can modify this, but this is just an important thing to know. If the contact opts out of one, it will deliver via the other. So this is a cool thing to kind of save you some headache of maybe not reaching people that you would like to reach because there was, some issue with deliverability, maybe with their phone number or potentially with their email. And so if they can't be reached via one, it will be sent via the other. Email preferred is going to be an option as well that you want to consider. This is to use if the contact is opted into both email and text. The campaign will attempt first. It will prioritize delivery via email. And in the event that email is undeliverable, the campaign will deliver via text. Similarly, on the converse, text preferred setting is going to prefer to send via text. It'll attempt that first. And in the event the text is undeliverable, the campaign will deliver to that contact via email. Now, email only, obvious, super straightforward, right? The campaign is only going to deliver to contacts who have opted in via email, and that's it, right? It's only going to send via email. Text is only going to send via text. Now let's talk about how these different options are set up. So we're going to choose how our messages deliver. First, we've got our default, right? So when you're creating a campaign, you give it a name, you designate the name that's shown to your contacts in case they want to manage their subscriptions to you. And then you choose how the campaign is sent, right? And this is where you're setting the default for all messages, right, in the campaign settings. Now, if you know 100% that this is only going to be an email affair, you can just go ahead and set the default for all of them right here to email only, and you don't have to think about anything else, and you just create your campaign and you're good, right? If you know that every message is going to be more or less sent the same way, and you want it to be sent by the same means, then you can just use the default and not really worry about anything else. But you can get even more dialed in and dynamic, which is why we're here today, right? Now you can, and how you do that, modify the send preference for your individual messages in the campaign editor. So you've got your campaign settings where you can say, I want to do both email and text in this campaign. So that's going to be my default for all messages is email and or text. And then I'm going to go in and say for the initial one that's going to be long, initial message I want to send, I want to make sure that that is more often than not email. It's going to be preferred, email preferred. But then maybe I have one that I want to use to engage with a lead. That's hey, can I help you with X, Y, or Z thing? And I only want to send that via text. You have the option to do that here as well without having to send a different or create an entirely different campaign that's dedicated for text. You can get dynamic in one campaign. So the settings for your campaign look a bit like this. So if you are setting up your campaign, you'll see where you name it. And then of course you've got this send by email preferred is an option that I've chosen here, right? And then in the campaign editor itself, which is the larger bit of the screen here where you can see the individual messages, you can also modify how each of those are sent to your contacts. Now let's talk about best practices for these different send options. For the email and or text option, this is one you want to be particularly mindful of if it is your default setting for every message in your campaign. You want to be mindful because when you are using this email and or text as your default, it's going to send the same content to both email and text at the same time. It's going to look slightly different, of course, because the email is going to have the full message and the text is going to have the subject line and a link that says, click here to read more, right? And it takes them to a little page that's created on your site that just has the contents of that email. Now that is a little redundant, right? And when we're redundant, people can get a little irritated, confused, and you can ultimately wind up, becoming the latest person that they have unsubscribed from in frustration. And we don't want to create that. So what I want to encourage you to do, if your default setting for your entire campaign is email and or text, is to modify these messages so that they're slightly different, right? So that the contents of what they're receiving in the email and what they're receiving in the text aren't duplicate information. So what I like to do here, if this is something that you want to do, if you are using text and you're wanting to engage with text, is you have the body of the email as you've designed it, but then you can use if the message sent by text, if it goes out at the same time, you could say, hey, I just sent you this email. It's got this information in it. You're going to want to go check it out. Go sign into your inbox. Make sure you look out for this email from me today. Right? So that would be a cool way to use this. That's one option. And then make sure, in order to do this, you're going to fill out the subject line. You're going to fill out the email body, but then also make sure that you are filling out that text message if sent by text field and include any images and the copy that you intend to send via text, right? So you're going to make sure if you're using email and or text that you are filling out all of these, and maybe you're using the text if sent by text down at the bottom here to reference the fact that you've sent them an email just now, right? Or you could, if this is an email that is just better sent by email, that might be a case to only send this email, using the email preferred setting or email only setting, right? All right. Now, speaking of email preferred, if the content that you are sharing is intended to be read via email, but you do have some text opt-ins and you want to make sure that nobody is missing what you're sending, then the content of your email will be offered as a text if you are, not filling out the section beneath, right? So like I mentioned, if you send a message that is designed to be read as an email via text, they're going to see the subject line via text with a link that says, click here to read more, right? And that's going to send them to a place where they can read all of the body of that email. So if email is preferred, this is what I would recommend that you do. And it looks like you're going to fill out the subject line in the email body, and you could fill out the text message if sent by text, but really this is all you need to do. If you're preferring email, they're just going to get that only if they can't be reached via email, they will receive that text that says, click here to read more, right? So you would fill out these top two in red here, the subject line and the message body, and this is sending by email preferred. Now, if text is preferred, if the content is intended to be read via text, but for whatever reason, you want to cover your bases and make sure that everybody receives a message from you, regardless of how they're opted in to hear from you, you're going to want to, again, fill out your subject line and the email body, as well as the text message if sent by text field, and include all of that information. And the reason why is because if it does wind up going out to someone via email, and there is nothing in the body, it's not going to see the stuff that was meant to be sent via text, right? So you do want to make sure, if this is text preferred, create the text message that's down here at the bottom. But if it's text preferred, it could be sent via email. So make sure that you also have a subject line and have a message body. If they're receiving it via text, they're only going to see what's down here, where it says text message if sent via text. But in the event that if text is undeliverable, it sends to email instead, they would still have a message that they are able to read and engage with via email. Now, this one is obviously super straightforward. For email, you're going to use this, or email only, you're going to use this setting if the content is intended to be read via email only. And also, if you're just not doing the text thing, right? If you're not doing any text marketing at all, then you could just be defaulting to email only because you aren't engaging via text, right? It's not a desire or focus of your business. In this case, in all of your emails, just as you would normally do, you're going to fill out your subject line, fill out the body, and you're good to go, right? So that's these two fields here. We're going to send these messages by email only, and we're probably just going to set our campaign default to email only so we don't have to worry about modifying the settings of the individual messages. Now for text only, if the content is intended to be read via text only, right? It's not going to work out via email. You're just going to fill out that text message if sent by text and any images to send with a text as needed. You will need to add a subject line, but that's just for your internal use and it's not going to be visible to the folks who receive it. So you're going to be filling out the subject line. And again, nobody's going to see what's in the subject line, but they will see whatever you put down here where it says text message if sent by text. And then just make sure that this message or the campaign default, depending on what you're creating, is sent by text only. All right, let's talk about use cases. You've seen that there are all of these different ways to set up your campaigns to send. Why would you do one versus the other, and so on? So the email and or text, which would be a both situation or an either or, depending on whether or not someone's opted into one or the other. A great way that I like to use to employ this particular setting is to have this be the default setting for a campaign for a challenge or a group program that's going to deliver a mix of email and text. So maybe there is on Mondays, there's going to be a longer email, or Sundays, there's going to be a longer email that really needs to be read via email. And so the entire campaign is email and or text, but the individual message, this one, for instance, would be email preferred, right? And then the daily reminders, where maybe at 5 p.m. I'm reminding them to write in their journal every day. Those are only going to go out via text. So that's a text only, but inside of this email and or text campaign. This is also a great opportunity to engage with date-based campaigns. So if you are maybe offering a workshop on a specific date, but you want to send reminders via text, but you want to send follow-ups with things like downloads, PDFs, etc., via email, you could set your campaign up this way as well, and even dial it in to make sure that that text doesn't just send at the default time, but maybe it sends at a specific date and time of day, right? For email preferred, most use cases are going to apply here if the content is best delivered via email. But if you want to cover your bases, right, you've got some people who are opted in via text, this is a fine option to choose. Again, with text preferred, if you've got things that are educational, image heavy content, right, if you want to send a bunch of images, text preferred is actually going to be a great option, because you can, send all of those images. You can send up to 10 in a single message from your AttractWell account using our texting feature. So if you want to send a bunch of images, then this is a great way to engage. Reminders are also going to be a really powerful tool. And I think also when we're thinking about getting folks to respond to us, right? Obviously, email is something that's typically responded to in a more thoughtful and substantive way. But if we're trying to really just kind of break through and get engagement to happen, text is really powerful for that. So maybe there's accountability inside of a challenge where you are sending a text on a daily basis, but you don't want to create two campaigns. You want to have a text on a daily basis with an email once per week. Then you've got that option to use text preferred for the daily and then still have your weekly emails in the same campaign. And that initiation of one-on-one engagement, like I was just talking about, of course, is another important way you can use text. And again, most cases, use cases for sending text is going to apply here, right? Where if a content that you want to send out is really best designed or delivered via text, but you want to make sure that folks that are maybe a part of your program or on this particular part of your list don't miss out if they aren't opted in to text, but they're opted into email. Email only, again, super straightforward. All use cases for email apply, especially if you don't care to use text and you don't plan to use it as part of your marketing strategy. And for text, again, if it needs to be educational or engaging, you're dripping out stuff that you want them to reply to, or it's reminders or accountability, or you're hoping for them to respond, text only is going to be a really powerful use case, or these are going to be really powerful use cases for using the text only campaign option. All right, so let's take a look at some of this, maybe with some of your questions taken into account here. I know that that's quite a lot if you are newer to sending campaigns. So we can actually take a look inside of an actual AttractWell account and play around with these settings here. So Heather says, I have a 5-day challenge I host each month. I attach a campaign to the sale page. If I attach a campaign to a sale page, will it pick up people that join the challenge late, or would I need to do each day manually to ensure everyone gets correct content on the correct date? So Heather, you're going to want to use a date-based campaign. So what I'm going to do is get into a share here, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we're going to host a challenge, then what you're going to do is create a campaign. And because it's a challenge, I would encourage you to set the campaign up so that it is email and or text using the contacts preference by default, but you can go in and make those modifications on those individual messages if you choose. So I'm going to give it a name. So this is going to be a monthly challenge, and the month will be January. And you can modify this if you want to, but I'm going to leave it as is for now and create the campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and add my day 0. This is going to send out whether they opt in tomorrow or 2 weeks into the challenge. So this would be welcome to the challenge. I'm going to prefer that this sends out via email, but if it needs to send out via text, that's fine. So we're going to welcome them here to the challenge, say whatever it is that you need to say, tell them whatever it is that you need to tell them. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe create an additional, like a day 1, right? So I'm going to go add my day 1 message. And there we go. It's a message on day 1. So our challenge starts today. Here's what to do, right? And again, I would prefer for this to go out via email. I don't want them to get it both ways. If I did want it to go out both ways, if I stuck with this, then I would say, hey, I just sent you an email about today's challenge. Be sure to look for it so you can get started, right? So that would be an example of doing either or both, right? Because we're sending them this email, but then the text, it's not literally the same thing. It's referencing the other in this case. And they would need to be opted into both email and text for this example to work, obviously. So you would put your content in here. And then to answer your question, Heather, and how you keep those people up to date, we're going to make this date-based. So maybe our challenge is going to start on, maybe we're going to start at the 2nd week of January, right? So that's when our challenge starts. But let's see. That means, because it's going to send, our challenge starts day 1. So we're going to tell them, here's what to expect. We start tomorrow, right? In this one. And then in this one, we're starting. So that means that we actually need to have the campaign start a day prior. So let's look at that. Now that means that whenever somebody gets started, they're going to receive welcome, right? You'll get your first email tomorrow or something like that. Or maybe if they actually opt in on the 8th, they're going to get both of these on the same day. Right. And so if your subsequent messages here, you set these up to deliver, and let's just say maybe this one is supposed to be on day 12. That's actually, here you go, on the 19th of January that this is going to send. So that way, if somebody opts in on day 8, they're still going to receive the day 12 and onward emails, as well as this day 0. And of course, anything else that you have here. Now, what if you want to engage people ahead of your challenge? This is a cool thing you can do. We can add an additional message here. This will maybe be our challenge starts tomorrow. Join the info call at 5 today. If I could type. And then you would put your body in here, and I would prefer email in this case. I tend to use email preferred myself personally, just because I don't use a lot of text. You may choose to do something different. So maybe we actually want to start sending these reminder emails out a few days before. So if our challenge is actually going to start on the 8th, then I want to send this on the 7th, which means I actually need to start the campaign on the 6th. And then this is going to be our day 1. And then this is going to be our day 2, right? And so again, if somebody signs up on the 8th, they're not going to see this, but they will get this, and they'll get everything else that goes on from there. And remember, you can modify the time of day. So this is going to be, maybe we'll send that in the morning, just to remind them of the call that afternoon. So you can make those modifications as well. You could maybe have another email, or actually here, I'll show you an example of how we can add a text message here. And this will be a reminder of our info call is about to go live. And so I'm going to actually make this a text only. So our call is about to go live. Click here to join, right? And I'm going to make this text only. You would want to make sure everybody is opted in via both, if that's what you want to do. And here for this one, this is going to be also sent on day 1, because that's our info call. And we're going to send that out an hour before. So that's going to be at 4 p.m. Well, that's Central. So that would be 3 p.m. Central. An hour before that call goes live, right? So yeah, that is, and that is a truly dynamic campaign, right? We're sending them an email in the morning, a text in the afternoon, and of course we can do all of that inside of this same campaign. So I hope that that helps. Let me see. And Alana, I will be bringing you out here shortly as well to work through what you're working on here today as well. Oh, okay. So Teresa, if you're not seeing that option, basically you want to make sure that you're checking this box, right? So edit message times and automations. That's where you open this up. And then you'll be able to see the times of day, and then also automations that you might want to apply. So as an example, if you have an initial nurture campaign, maybe it's 20 messages long, you're allowing someone to kind of get to know you, get acquainted with your offerings after they've opted in to get something for you, like a lead magnet. If they don't convert to something, to one of your offers in the course of being sent that campaign, you could actually attach an add to move to general mailing list automation to the last message, right? And then now from that point forward, when you're filtering for your general mailing list, the people who don't convert here, who have completed their initial nurture campaign, are now on your list for just the regular content that you send out on a weekly basis. I see everything but the actual date it will send. Yeah, so you do have to actually set a campaign start date to be able to see that. So if you go up here, campaign starts, it's either ASAP. And if you choose ASAP, then it's going to send, day 0 is going to send right away. So if they sign up at 2 in the morning, it's going to go out at 2 in the morning, right? 2:01, whatever. And then the subsequent messages, the default time is 5 p.m. Central US time. If you want to modify that, you are going to want to go in and change those times. But if you want the date to be applied, then you want to basically pick the day before you want the day 1 email to be sent, and have that be the start date of your campaign. So thank you for those additional questions. And yes, Alana, you would add the call link in that instance. I didn't have a link to give, but you would pop that link in there. There was a question about, does using text cost more? It does cost marketing credits. And we do have articles in our system about marketing credits. If you want to learn about those, it's kind of an internal currency, if you will. One email is 1 credit. So 1 email to 100 people is 100 credits. And then of course, those numbers do expand with text. So in that way, it is more expensive. It's not more on your plan unless you use up all your marketing credits and need to buy some more, which you certainly can. And those do roll over. But definitely make sure that you learn more about how that works. Shane says it would be great to send messages as campaigns via WhatsApp. Is that possible? Nope, it's not at this point. In fact, WhatsApp is they're not very friendly to that. Actually, those are supposed to be sort of like interpersonal messaging, and this is more business focused. And at this point, there's not an integration for that purpose. But I agree, it would be cool if we could. Is there a way to have email and text not send at the same time, or would that require setting them up separately? So Andrea, great question. What I would do in that case, if we do want to send both perhaps on the same day, you would do what I did here, for instance, right? So they would both be day one, or of course scheduled for the same date, calendar date. And then you would set the times and then set how they're sent, right? So you would send a certain information at this time of day, another time of day, and then maybe via different means in those instances. Okay, if you want to know whether or not they can be reached via email, this is a great question. Let me see, I'm going to go over to my contacts and I'll show you how you can figure out who is opted in for what. When you go to filters and you go to more filters, you can filter for people who are opted into email or either, opted into text or either. And if you're using the app, you can see whether or not they're opted in to app notifications. So you can filter your contacts this way so that you can see who's who and what's what. And this includes both folks who have opted in, who have opted out if they're a no, or if, perhaps somebody mistyped their email address, or for whatever reason there was a deliverability issue, then it's going to show that they're opted out, even though they didn't necessarily go and say, I don't want these emails. It could have been like a technical thing. So all of that's going to be included there under that opted into or not opted into email. Can you have a welcome message go out when they sign up, even if it is the day before the event or a couple of hours? Yes, that's going to be the day 0 in your message. That's an ASAP. It's going to send out immediately. Okay. So I think, let me see, the time is based, yes, on US Central Time. 5 p.m. US Central Time is the default, but you get to change that if you want your messages to send, but you are going to be basing it around US Central Time. So, use the time and date calculator, depending on where you are in the world. I do my modifications based on the fact that I'm Eastern Time. So you will need to, modify that slightly. It gets easier with time. Okay. How does this interface with Calendly? What's the best way to answer this? So we do have Zapier integrations with AttractWell. So if you are wanting to create a true direct linked interface, meaning data that goes into Calendly goes into AttractWell and vice versa, if you have Zapier and it's connected to your Calendly and Zapier is also connected to your AttractWell, you can connect those in the truest sense. My preference, however, for integrating Calendly is to simply create a Calendly event and then embed the form onto a page in your AttractWell site. And depending on how you're going about using Calendly, so maybe you have, and we do have trainings on this in depth on our YouTube channel. So like discovery call funnels, for instance, you want to ask a handful of questions of somebody, and then they're able to book a time with you, and then you're able to have a call. You would create the form in AttractWell for them to answer all of the questions. And if and only if they fill that out, they are sent to that page in AttractWell where your Calendly form is embedded. And if you're doing it this way, your AttractWell system isn't necessarily going to see the date and time that the call was booked, but you're going to be doing that with your notes anyway for your call, right? Because you're going to be going to that contact in AttractWell and you're going to be saying, we met at this date and time and we talked about this and that, right? So you're basically getting the best of both worlds without having to glue things together or worrying about like the interfaces talking to each other. But if you wanted to, absolutely go for it with Zapier. Okay, so I would like to get to our live work reviews, and I'm excited to bring you guys out and work with you today. I do have Alana, can you tell us a little bit about the event showing up on your page? And then I'm going to bring Janice Weber and then Frank Warren out for reviews. Alana, if you could pop that into the Q&A, is it like your events, like your events manager, or is there something else that's happening there? Let me know. I'm going to see if I can pull things up for you real quick so we can troubleshoot that, because it should be pretty simple. Oh, and if you could let me know which one of your AttractWell accounts this might be. Is it your name, or is it Life is a Journey? Just let us know which one that is, and then we can take a look at that. And let me find as well, so I can go ahead and bring you out to chat because you booked today, Janice. Hi, Janice. How can we help?
Okay. I'm was using a different platform to work on developing my workshop. So I've pulled off all what I've worked on. So now I need to put it into the AttractWell under how we get started on courses. So
Okay.
I wanted to have a little bit of a coaching on how I do that, because
Okay.
I've already got it saved in Word. So then I just need to figure out how I move things over. And I haven't had a chance to go on and look yet.
Okay. Okay, got you. So the first and most important resource I would encourage you to check out is called How to Build Your Online Course. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Let me go show you here real quick in the dummy account. I can show you where to go find that. So inside of AttractWell, there is in the Success Academy. If we
Okay.
go and check out online resources and courses, it is this one right here, How to Build Your Online Course. And it's not just courses. This is memberships, it's group programs, it's, you know, however, in a private setting, you are delivering content to your people with or without video. This is sort of the full blueprint. And so you would follow along with this. It's very sort of short step by step. That's how you would do it. And actually, I believe we talked about migration specifically a couple, it was last week, but we will be talking more about course migration on an upcoming lesson as well. So can you tell me a little bit about where things are for you, and maybe I can help you kind of wrap your head around a strategy of where to move next?
Okay, well, I've got the 8 weeks planned. So all I had left to do was then make my videos and upload them into the course. But what I'm going to be doing more is live events. So I've since decided I do that way. So people will come to a 3-day boot camp with me. And then we'd be doing membership. And they would come into, I guess it's what you guys call vaults. They would then have to have a sign in. Yeah, they'd have a code to
Yeah,
be
they would
able
have a login to your member area on your website. And actually, all of those things that you just mentioned are things that you could deliver inside of the vault, inside of the member area. So vaults are just containers for your member area. And so let's just say, for instance, there's the 3-day program. That is one thing that you can offer. And if somebody has access to it, if they're logged into your member area, they'll see it. And then if they bought the thing that you sold after that, then they'll be able to see that too.
Okay.
Right. And so whatever they have access to, they'll be able to see. So I guess what I would recommend is, in whatever order is most important to you strategically, build out each of those experiences following the blueprint that's in here. And that way you've got all of the structures to feed people into, right? So if we're ending, and I like to I prefer to build with the end first, because then we don't have to go back and try to reconnect things and make sure that they're all doing what they're supposed to do. So if we're culminating in this program that has these 8 weeks and does all of this stuff, I would build that first, and then I would build the pathway that leads to it, and then the pathway that leads to that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, if I'm doing the live training, then I would just go over to the live training thing and click on that. And
Oh, actually, these are our live trainings. So like the call we're on right now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So these
not
are just resources for you. But if you're doing a live training,
Yeah.
is that so the live training is it just a one-off thing? So people pay for it?
3 days, and I'm gonna offer them monthly for this next year with the
Okay.
idea of using it as my funnel to get them to come and sign up for the membership where they work with me for 8 weeks.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I would encourage you to maybe create that inside of a vault, because then you can have a little bit of like a community aspect to it. You can have a discussion room in there if you want. You'll be able to house all of those videos. And then, of course, they already have a login to your member area. So then all they would need to do is just purchase that next option. And you would need to be selling them that at the vault level anyway, if it's going to be like a subscription, a membership. So yeah.
Because they'd, this is what I'm still trying to figure out. They come in for the 8 weeks, and then the whole idea is trying within the 8 weeks is see if they're interested in continuing. So there might be an upsell to the master program I'm offering as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Me for a year. So
Yeah. I would, yeah. So in that case, it sounds like you've got a pretty good idea of kind of what you want you've got a bird's eye view of sort of what the ecosystem that you want to create. So I think then the next thing that I would maybe consider here is what's the most important to you to get done first? Like what do you need to be selling right now, or what do you need to deliver first? And I would maybe begin with that. And I think that in particular, where we're talking about like the 3-day, the 3-part offer, that's sort of an early lead into the other things, that's going to be a really easy thing to create. Because you're basically you're creating the vault, and then you're going to have for instance, like a page with, here's a breakdown of actually, I think I have an example of this, and we do have templates for this. We have live calls and replays.
yeah, because they'll be
See
able
it in
to access the replay, and that's a little bit of an upsell. So
Yeah.
they would access to that for like 90 days if they pay like $47 or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So then what you would be able to do is actually sell them from inside of one of these vaults, right?
Okay.
So yeah, you have all of those options are available to you, by creating new content, new pages inside of the vaults. I wouldn't even necessarily create an online class for that 3-part one. I would just have a page that says, here are the dates and times, and then they can choose to opt in. And then there's maybe a button at the bottom that says, do you want access to all of these replays and all of these other things? And then you can send them off to maybe a place where they can check out and purchase, the vault that has everything else in it.
Okay, because the live event, it's going to be with me every month. So would that still be in the vault? And then they would be purchasing the, yeah, that's what I got to figure out.
Okay. Is the live event paid or free?
It's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
But they
here's
have an option. If they want a copy of the videos, then that is a paid subscription, right?
Okay, that helps a lot. So, okay, scratch what I said. The vault that you create is the one that's that subscription, right? And then we have a training here, and we actually did this very recently. This one, how to host and share webinars with AttractWell.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what you're going to use for that
Yeah,
monthly.
this is just before I found out about you guys.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to create the subscription vault because that's what you're pitching. That's what you're selling. And you're going to be selling it on these webinars. And so you're going to basically set yourself up to have like a recurring once a month. You can join this class and you're going to teach them a thing. And then you're going to pitch them and they can, get this recording and all the others if they join the membership. Right. So yeah, this is what I would use to set up that recurring monthly content and sort of the system that you funnel people through. And then you're ultimately pointing them to that vault that you create that is your subscription with all your content in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that I have to build out because
Yes.
the rest of the stuff is all going to be live webinars that they work with me. And eventually I'll have more content in that to put into the vault. And so people could buy like that's the evergreen style, is it? Where you've got content that they then purchase later?
I mean, you could certainly set it up that way. So if you're going to have a membership,
Still learning all
then
the terms.
I'm sorry.
I'm still learning all the terms.
That's okay. That's okay. And the thing is you don't have to have all of this figured out right now. I would figure out what do I want to sell and what's the pathway that I want to use to sell it, and just go ahead and get that set up. And then once that's humming and you feel good about it and it's doing what it needs to do, then you can add on the other things, right?
Yep.
So it could be that what you're going to do is for now, because you're going to have these monthly webinars, you can offer for the first 6 months special pricing, right? You can be a founding member and this is, it's going to cost this, but right now it's this, and you can get access to, all of these things starting with this replay. And I will be doing, like you add some kind of special thing to it for the folks in the beginning. And then you build out the vault as you go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to have everything figured out to get started.
With this, because I'm doing them as live events, I'm been starting to use Eventbrite, but do you guys have like Eventbrite so I can set up the event and then have it so people know about it in different cities, or what happens with your setting up events?
Yeah, so our events are as SEO enabled as the rest of your website. So if you are wanting to, create your events and promote them, you can absolutely set them up so that registration and even payment is taken here on your site. So we do have an events manager. If you're wanting to leverage audience, then I would certainly encourage you to still create Eventbrite, like local Eventbrite listings, but have where you're sending them from. You're not having them RSVP on Eventbrite. You're having them actually like click a link and then come over to your website to RSVP and complete the process.
Okay. All right.
But you do have an events manager here where people RSVP, yes, no, maybe, all of that.
Yeah, I haven't finalized. I've just done one. I'm totally new to this because I'm used to doing in-person stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're well on your way. And
that's it for right now. I will reach out when I have more questions.
all right, well, we look forward to it. Thanks for coming out today, and we're excited to continue this and see you grow.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Frank, thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to bring you out, and then we do have some questions, you guys. Thank you for your patience as well. We'll make sure that we get to you here after we chat with Frank. Hi, Frank. Looks like you're muted if you'd like to unmute. Are you there? Hey, Frank, if you're with us, you can unmute and come out to chat. Let's see. You can go ahead and unmute at any point. In the meantime, I'm gonna answer a couple of questions here real quick.
I'm back.
Oh, there you are. Hi. Are you there?
I am.
Awesome. Hi, how's it going?
Most excellent. Thank you for your patience.
Sure thing. How can we help today, Frank?
Well, you looked at my site in its original form, and it was pretty rough. I took some of your advice, made some changes, tried to make it more thematically consistent, and wanted you to, I sent you some questions, but I wanted you to take a look at the site and just give me a critique.
Yeah. Okay. Here, I want to make sure I've got your homepage pulled up, but I want to pull up the editor as well so that we can take a look at that concurrently. So here we go. All right. So that is such a cute picture. And I love what you've done with the parallax section right here. This is obviously a very important message that you want to share. And you're probably, I assume, going to be, if somebody's landing on this webpage, they've probably interacted with you somewhere. So it's going to make a lot of sense for them to just go straight here to book a consult. Can you tell me first a little bit, Frank, about how people are finding your business and finding you, and kind of what you see the future of that looking like?
Most of it's been through either previous personal relationships or with my proof of concept project, which has been going on for a couple of years. It's a family-owned oil and gas company in Illinois. That was simply through interaction on LinkedIn. So I really haven't had a cogent, methodical process for acquiring clients, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to use a platform like AttractWell.
Got you. Okay. So there's something that's happening here. Greg, maybe you can help me with this. Do you see this? All right. So we have 3 sections, right? Publish page. Is it the footer?
Yeah,
page
I
footer.
thought I'd fixed that. Somebody had given me some direction on how to get into the footer to fix it, but I think that's what's happening.
Yes.
Check the footer on the actual page itself
on
under
the actual,
settings.
yeah, that's
That
right.
might be
Yeah.
worth that.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Header and footer is home. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna put default header with menu and default footer. Unless you have a page footer that you've customized, we can preview that here. There we go. Awesome. Okay, that's the Jane one. We definitely don't want that one. So I'm just going to go for the default one for now. And we can take a look at this. Okay, so there's our header. Perfect. And our footer is, actually, it looks like you've decided to put a footer, like include the footer that was in this page theme. So in this case, where you have something like this, you actually in settings can just not include the footer. And then it's a lot cleaner where you've got just the one header up at the top. You've got your page content, and then there you go, right? So yeah, the settings there were actually on the page, like Greg mentioned, the page itself. So yeah, I like that. And it's a really nice parallax image you've got in the back there. Yeah. So what other kind of questions do you have? We definitely did. We solved the double page scroll situation. So that's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't even realize that was still there. So thank you very much. That
Sure.
could have been embarrassing. On my button that says how we can help you, if you could look at each of those selections and just tell me what you think.
Okay, so my first things first, I wouldn't open in a new tab here because we're not going to a different website. And let's take a look at the settings here in your menu. Yeah, so you can see that this says open in a new window. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and change that for each of these, because you're going to have the same menu. Like if you're going to have a menu across your entire website, then you don't really have to worry about kind of keeping them in a particular place. All right, so how we can help you. There's our enterprise on autopilot. Awesome. Okay, so we need to address the spacing here on the left-hand side, or maybe the margin here on this page. You see how that's kind of stuck over to the side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the others. I imagine they might be fairly similar here. No, this actually looks great. Okay. Here's that example again, where you can disable the footer on the actual page itself, since you're using one that's connected to the page.
Okay.
And then this one. And the spacing there appears to be fine on desktop as well. So that first one that we saw, that the issue on, I think, was this enterprise on autopilot. Yeah. So let's go take a look at that page here real quick, and then we can kind of figure out what's going on with this section here. So what I think is happening is we've got this element that is just kind of hanging out all the way over here. And there is, I wonder if I could even select the whole, it's like multiple things. Let me try, see if I could just get the whole thing. Okay. Can I get all of it? Yes. And I can copy it. So sometimes when when it gets like wonky to this point and we can't even like grab the thing anymore, sometimes it's just helpful to start over and create a new thing. So here's what I would do. I would start, here we go, one column, no header. And I would get all of our text in here. This is going to be a button. And we'll send them somewhere. And I'll just make that brown for now. And I'm going to remove some of this space. You can go back and obviously modify the text to the sort of font weights and styles and everything that you want. But I wanted to show you how you can kind of get that column of text on the left without it doing that weird thing it was doing. Okay.
Terrific.
So what we'll do here is you'll obviously want to have that background image, which I believe was this one, right?
Yes.
And I think we were kind of sticking to the right on that one. And I think the up down will be in the, we'll keep it more to the top. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is you do have this nice sort of background here. So I'm going to select the entirety of it. And I'm going to edit this element. So that's this entire box, all of it. Give it that background color and increase the opacity a bit, or quite a bit. And then we're going to go back in here and also change that text color so that we've got a nice contrast. All right, so this obviously is entirely, you know, too big and it's not doing the thing that you want it to do. So what we'll do now is we're going to use our column editor. And this is how we're going to be able to move it over to the left without making things go nuts. So we're going to select, and it's a single column now. I'm going to decrease the column size to, I think you had it, that's pretty close. I think we could maybe go a touch bigger, maybe 6. You could modify this, but then we're going to add another column. And you can see here that there is a second column, and I want to take out this new column text here because that's actually, nobody's going to know that there's another column here. I'm going to shrink that column 2 down to, oops, need to go back into the editor here. All right, there's my columns. Column 2, we're going to go down to 3, and I'm going to duplicate it. And so now we have, it takes up 12 spaces. We have 6, 3, 3. And so now it is going to stick closer to the left. So when we're looking, and obviously there's some more modifications you can make to sort of how you have that that image set up here, and you know, maybe making it move a little further over, or maybe we could even take this and shrink it down a touch, and that would give us that expansion that we're looking for. So in that case, again, we're in the column, and we're going to take this down to maybe 5 and increase the size of one of these so that we're still at a full width of 12, and then continue looking here to just kind of see if it's doing what we want it to do, right? So that's how you're going to get it over to the left without it falling off the page. So there's a little bit more that you can obviously do here to kind of really tweak it and make it look exactly how you want. Maybe we want to make this even smaller, and then increase the size of those additional columns so that they are, again, kind of moving that image, making it bigger, right? So this is also, importantly, going to be fine when it's on mobile. Whereas that's you can't even read any of this on mobile right now, right? So yeah, that's the direction that you're going to want to go with designing a section like that one.
Okay, and you bring me to another one of my big questions. I wanted you to tell me what you thought the site looks like on a mobile device.
Okay, yeah, so we can do that page by page here by just going to phone preview. And so this page in particular, you can see we've got our menu up here, which is great. I don't think that we necessarily need to have buttons for all of these menu options. That does kind of, it's a little bit more than I think needs to be there visually. Your use of parallax looks really nice. Booking a consult, that's sending them to a Calendly page. I would encourage you to maybe create a page in your AttractWell account that has that Calendly embed, so that form is on a page on your website, so they don't leave your website in order to book with you. Let's see. Okay, and obviously you would want to modify this page so that it looks a little better. So let's we'll just explore all of mobile from right here. There's you. Let's look at our other pages. Again, the use of parallax and this sort of nice contrast that you're creating in the text here, it looks good. Make sure that you are removing either this or this, like one of the two footers, right? So you have, yeah, the one on the page itself or the one that is in the system. And yeah, let's see what else. So your homepage isn't set up as your homepage, I noticed.
Okay.
So here, I'm gonna save the changes that I've made here, and let's go take a look real quick. Well, that's interesting.
I thought I had set it up, but
yeah, well, so maybe that was just a function of Greg. Did you see what I did there? So I'm here and I'm clicking the logo. Oh, you see it's going to the about page, or to the my story and photo. This, when I clicked this,
okay, the preview, it's taking in the wrong place. Okay.
and
Yeah,
I wasn't sure that I was going to use that about page. I have mixed feelings going one way or the other with it, but
oh yeah, and you certainly don't have to. I think, you know what, I think that's just a bug for the viewer. That's only happening in the viewer. So your website's fine. When you click your logo here,
yeah,
it works just fine. So no, that's actually not a problem. Oh,
okay.
One other thing I would recommend that you do, this logo, I would maybe pop it into Canva and give it just a little bit more white space so that there's an edge, because you see how it's touching the very, very, very top here.
Okay.
So if the image that you're using has just a little bit of a white border, that'll look a little nicer right here. But yeah, I think that's really just making sure that in the sections, like where you're wanting to really have all of the text on like the right-hand side or the left-hand side, if you're using the column editor and creating empty columns where you want blank space on a wide screen, that's not going to jeopardize the view when the screen shrinks down to mobile. So if you're using that, then, you know, on mobile, which you can always go to any of your pages and toggle to mobile view, you'll be able to see how it's showing up. And then you can also kind of choose that background image to maybe have it be centered or to the left or the right or up or down, so that on mobile it's showing up kind of, you know, the way that you would want it to.
Okay. Last question I've got involves things like terms of use and refund policy, and I saw something on online the other day about whether or not I should have an ADA policy of some kind. Is there any standardized language that you guys have that will work? I won't have to pay an attorney to do it.
Sure, there's a lot of stuff out there that's very sort of standard cookie cutter. Greg, we have, oh, there you go, termsfeed.com. That's Greg's recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, we have
here
a
in the
couple of
chat.
templates, but I certainly, this termsfeed.com for it's a very reasonable price, and they even have some free options. It'll generate a whole number of different documents, and it
Okay.
personalizes it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so here's like a terms and conditions, there's a contract. So there are some sort of templates that are newer to our system that you could check out, potentially using for some purposes as well. But definitely, yeah, something like a terms feed, pay a nominal amount, and have your bases covered, because that is important.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Frank. All right, so thank you guys for your patience. I know there were just a couple of questions. I want to make sure we get those answered before we get going. Alana, if you're still here, you are here. Let me just go ahead and bring you out. Let's talk through this real quick. You mentioned an event not showing up on your website. You have an
Yes.
event listed under your events on your dashboard, but when you view your site and you go to events, the one that you have created doesn't show up. So let me go check that out.
I feel like I just haven't set up the website part of it correctly yet.
Okay. All right, we can go take a look at this together. So if we view the site, awesome. And if we go to /events, or you actually have events in your tab here. So there's an event that you're not seeing here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go
Well,
take.
so if you go to the events tab, it was showing up because whenever I clicked it from my site, it wasn't working.
Yeah. Here, let me close out of all these other tabs I was in. So yeah, so we're on your site. So if you go to view your site, there's your my story about me, right? And events is one of your menu items. And oh, I know why. Okay. So this is wanting to go to #events on this page. But if we go to yourwebsite.com/events, that's the only reason why it's not showing up, is that you're not going to your actual events page. So if we go to your menu, then we can address this. How come is events like a default, Greg, in the menu?
Oh, if she's never saved the menu, I think it will. I think it goes in there and puts it on there if there is an event. So my guess is that the menu has maybe never been set up.
Got you. Okay. Got you. So let's just go add a menu header here. And this is going to be events. And this is going to be events, right? That's going to work, right? Her website.com/events. But is that like a decent short code? Can I do that?
Yeah, that works if she's
Okay.
got a domain on there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know. There's actually not a domain. I don't think.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
I have one, but I haven't added it
And it
yet.
would be whatever AttractWell or just be / and
Okay.
then yeah, life
Got
is a
you.
journey coaching /
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So then what we'll do here, when you have your domain connected, you could just make sure that you change this, because
Sure.
this is that's not going to work once you connect your domain. So if we save that and we go over here, there we go. Events is right there. So you hadn't modified your so if we go back here, we'll be able to see the same thing. So there's this, and then there's events. So it's just
Okay,
like a
perfect.
default that was there. Yeah. I
Got you.
think that the thing that you can do here as well, and let me remember, Greg, is that going to be under the where we choose like whether or not the images show up, or not the images, sorry, the events show up like on your about or other pages? Like, is that in, because I know on our other platform we do have like
Mhm.
do events factor in here, but is there a
I
way
don't
to
remember
have?
offhand.
Okay.
I don't remember offhand if there is a way to pull those in on the homepage or not. It is under blog post settings. There's a way to change in the upper right. There's a settings, but I think there's something there about events under advanced. Max events. It is set to 5, so yeah, it is not.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
not
got
under,
you.
it doesn't show.
Okay, awesome. Well, it is now It is now there. And just so you know, in the future, as you are, connecting your domain and getting your pages and everything built, your website /events is always going to send you to the events list. And anything that is publicly available to view will show up on the list here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad we could help. Okay, great. Got that. And I think, how would I create it so they pay for the event? And can I make my booking page show up as well? Okay, so if you wanted to have somebody pay for the event in your event settings, now we currently, our events manager does not allow payment processing. Like native, so your Stripe for AttractWell does not connect to the built-in AttractWell Events Manager at this moment. But if you want to promote an event that someone has to pay for, you can set the event up in your Events Manager and then create a page or even a store listing if you're using the store in AttractWell. And so basically what you're going to do, and I'll just show you where you would go to do this. If we go to your events, and maybe you wanted to take payment for this Success Mastery Masterclass, then what you're going to do when we edit this event is we are going to, down here under more event options, we're not going to allow self-registration in this case. We're going to send them to a page where you are taking payment. Right. And so everything that's going to happen, the campaign that goes out, everything's going to happen on that page. And you would put the URL to that page right here. So this way it shows up in the events listing on your website, but you're sending them over to a page where you can take payment, apply your automations, do all of that all in one place. And that page is actually going to be, in my opinion, the better thing to be sharing if you're going to be posting on social, etc., because you have a lot more control over the design of it and all of the additional information that you might want to include, because you are selling something. So just having the here's the date, here's the time, here's the topic is a little less compelling than creating a sales page for the event, right? And so you could create that sales page, set it up to take payments, and then link it right here, removing the self-registration. And that would be my recommendation if you wanted to charge for your events. But there is a place, again, there in the advanced options, if you wanted to embed a code, a PayPal button, things like that, you can do that on the actual event page. It's just not quite as clean. Let's see, can you embed the Stripe HTML code on a landing page? You can embed anything really that has a code on AttractWell. So, whether that's a booking page, a quiz form, you name it, if it's embeddable. If it's JavaScript, that can get a little wonky. So you might want to just reach out to our team if you're having trouble with something that's script based that you want to embed, but basically everything's embeddable. So thank you guys for your amazing questions and for sticking around. And yeah, we'll be back same time next week. So make sure you sign up for a live work review, head over to our Facebook group, connect with us there, and of course, reach out if you guys need anything in the meantime. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.